Okay, so there were two things that I wasn't planning, three things, I guess, that I wasn't planning to do. The first was get back into World of Warcraft. Been a few years sober on World of Warcraft, but I got curious, and so and behold, I go back in. The second thing...
Welcome aboard. King Rin needs every hero of the Alliance at their best when we face the Legion. As we journey to the broken shore, let's use the time to brush up on your battle skills. Let me know when you're ready to get started.
Need help? For the Alliance.
Affliction warlocks use shadow magic and disease to wear down their enemies, that drain their very life essences to empower themselves. Your command of dark magic enables you to summon a demon servant to do your...
The second thing that I was planning to do was actually make a video about this. But it turned out, like, the third thing... That being using a token to jump directly to level 100 was the third thing I wasn't planning on doing. And there are reasons why.
Corruption is a spell that afflicts its target, dealing shadow damage as long as the affliction lasts. Use corruption on this target dummy. Once you cast corruption, you don't need to cast it again until your original spell is close to expiring.
Excellent.
But
After afflicting your target with agony and corruption, you can begin.
But I discovered that the intro sequence. I discovered that one I can try out that level 100 character. I didn't need to use the token just to jump up, and I'm like, okay, might as well try it out. And I tried it out, and it turned out to be way more dramatic than I expected. This guy is just kind of going to be rolling through all the abilities, so there really isn't going to be any story content for a little while. So I suppose that gives me a little bit of a chance to talk. Back in the day, when World of Warcraft started, there was not this dramatic storytelling approach. There weren't really scenarios. It was more just a world to explore. One giant, seamless world, which was impressive, especially for its time. But it kind of left me, even after playing through the base World of Warcraft and its initial expansion, with the idea that the story for World of Warcraft was basically just bits and pieces that you would see in quest dialogue and maybe like region-based storylines. Like there was the storyline that occurs in Elwyn Forest. There is the storyline that occurs in Westfall, and there's like the storyline that occurs in Duskwood. But the storylines for these regions aren't necessarily related. They're all just telling their own separate stories.
Utilize fear itself to strike terror into their hearts. Use fear to frighten my soldier.
Greetings.
Excellent.
Like, I remember when they just recently did the update, that kind of modified level progression for the main campaign. People said that people would miss out on the storyline. And my first thought was, well, what storyline? And again, it kind of reaches towards like the regional stories that the main campaign dealt with. I do know that at the beginning of...
Please, don't hurt them too badly. I need them for later.
I need them for the fighting. At the beginning of Pandaren expansion, those have more scenario-based storylines going on. But I never played that expansion, nor did I play the Lich King expansion, and I guess Legion is the only one other than that. because the highest I ever got in the game is, I believe I got, is a level 70 character at the end of
Good
Burning
work.
Crusade,
Now, demonstrate your skill against two
before
foes at the same time.
any further expansions came out. Now, I understand the idea of why people would be against tokens. If somebody just jumps up to level 100, they won't necessarily know how to play that character. But as somebody who's played the game many times before, leveled characters, including a warlock, up to level 70, like, I don't want to spend time grinding my way up to the latest content. That's a lot of basic enemies to have to fight through,
You
just to
learned
get to
well.
the more interesting parts.
Next, we will see. Hold on. Is that... To arms! The Legion is attacking!
And I think I just turned off all the NPC nameplates so it looks nicer on screen. It's kind of a mess with all the names all over the place. You don't really get to see the art. And that is something that, like, you can see the old World of Warcraft under the new paint. That, like, when I clicked on that first quest giver, and he had his basic comments when you click on him, like, those have been unchanged for years. It feels like a lot of the new World of Warcraft is essentially just built upon the old World of Warcraft rules, rather than modifying anything to kind of fit the new any new attempts at storytelling. But after playing this set of quests, it actually gets pretty exciting. It gets a little dramatic there, and that's what I was not expecting out of World of Warcraft.
Well done, hero. You are now prepared to do battle. When you feel ready, explore your spellbook and the talent tree for additional abilities you can learn. For the Alliance!
See, even the Alliance has the same issues that the real world has. Do you want experience in how to battle? You have to already have participated in a battle to be prepared to participate in battle. Yeah, and nobody's looking for any new applicants who have no experience in battle. Yeah, for some reason nobody else cares that there's still a fight going on up there. And that is like, okay, that's where you can see the World of Warcraft engine fighting against its attempt to tell a story. Is that you still have that one last villain who hasn't been dealt with yet, and none of the NPCs care. But the tutorial complete, let us hop onto a griffin and proceed with the quest.
Smooth sailing so far. Give me a status report.
King Ren and the Stormwind fleet arrived several hours ago. Reports indicate heavy fighting.
I haven't seen so much as a seagull for hours now.
There is a foulness in the air, and we are headed directly towards it.
Now, I suppose one issue with this... Oh,
Directly ahead.
sorry.
Alliance ships! Make for the beach! Hold on, everyone. This is gonna get worse before it gets
Is that you
better.
can't really see what's directly ahead of you. You kind of have to maneuver the camera around, but then that kind of shatters the illusion that there really is nothing going on ahead of you. You just got catapult fire, but that's okay. Still cool. Still cool.
Light's sake, what is
This
that?
is actually the second time
It appears to be a great source of fell energy. I have never seen anything like it.
that I've played through this section. The first time just was impressed by how cool this actually was. And then the second time for the purposes of the recording. The first time, I did not get any other people in the instance with me, as you can see by the people in the upper left. There are actual people in this group, although the actual presence of people does not really matter for the purposes of the instance. This is largely a tutorial, still. Obviously, if you fall asleep at the keyboard, there's a good chance that you'll die. Certain abilities definitely increase your chances.
Appear to be anchoring the structures to our dimension. Take them out, and I bet the whole structure would crumble.
Like I nearly died just there.
Let's hope you're right.
Although that would be largely due to one ability that
It worked.
One down.
hits the a curse that hits the specific person that I target, and,
One more and the shore
and
is
it damages everybody around it, which also means that I get all the attention. So it's not necessarily too dangerous to use here, although I would imagine in an actual dungeon scenario.
Might of the Legion? Ha! Very well. The Master will reward me for your souls.
In which, like a tank would be wanting to actually control the battle.
enough of your chatter.
It would be an ability I might want to keep under wraps, unless it's to deal with ads. Having the extra people here, however, means a lot of these fights are really fast.
Is everyone all right?
But we lost many good troops.
Like,
We'll have to mourn them later. We need to move before more demons
that
arrive.
fight went so quickly
Agreed.
that he was still doing his mid-battle speech after his end-battle speech finished. His corpse had vanished off of the battlefield and he was still talking.
Varian's forces should have landed just around this hill. Let's hope they had more luck.
I've never seen the demons expand this quickly.
Neither have I. Something has changed. This isn't the same Legion we fought before.
And eventually you just start to fall back a bit. Gotta toss on a horse.
Oh no.
This isn't possible. There are so many of them.
Hold fast, Alliance. We will not fall this day. Push them back to the portal.
Varian!
Let's go.
In my first attempt to complete this area, I actually did die twice. But I was still okay, because I had soul stoned myself, and that protected me from the first death. And then I soul stoned myself again after the first death, and that saved me from that one. But I guess this is essentially a section you're not necessarily supposed to rush through. But hey, we're
It's good to see you, sir.
I'm still gonna try to rush through it.
Got to take down this portal!
The anchoring crystals are the key. Just get us up there and we'll take care of it.
My attempt at goodwill
Alliance, we push them back to the portal.
towards my other players. I can't heal them, but at the very least I might be able to provide soul stones. It's also at that point that I realized my Voidwalker disappeared.
Focus on the crystals.
But, like I said, with the group, it seems as though whoever is here is not... whatever enemies are here are not going to live for very long. Like, that guy was dead before I looked at him.
Heal the wounded. We can't rest here for long.
What happened here?
It happened in seconds. We were fighting our way up the shore, and then boom! Explosions of fell energy all around us. And these buildings just grew up out of them, filled with demons. I don't know how we're going to be able to push them back at this rate.
One demon at a time. With me, Alliance! Leave nothing standing!
What about that demon over there? Oh, he's laying down. Ah, that was terrible. So, like, in this area, you got little...
You're from the Crusade. What happened? Where is Tyrion?
Don't know. They were on us in seconds. Fell fire everywhere.
Save your strength. We will find him.
Keep your eyes open for survivors. Save as many as you can.
And you get buffs from picking up these random stuff. You don't necessarily need them. You'll survive, nonetheless. But the idea is just to essentially kill off as many of these demons as you can. Save prisoners.
Have you seen Tyrion?
It doesn't really matter how many demons you defeat, people you save. It's essentially just to play the game until the next cutscene appears. As a tutorial zone, this essentially just gives you a time to practice your offensive abilities. I suppose if I was a healer, I could pretend to heal my allies.
Couldn't hold them off.
But it's really their fault for not being able to keep themselves healthy.
By the light, it is good to see you.
Now, you can save these prisoners, and they'll actually run along with you and attack bad guys. But once this area is done, then they go off and do their own thing. Start a family, die in a fellfire. The choice is theirs.
I'm hit!
I also notice that this game has kind of also brought in one of the ideas that Final Fantasy XIV has, in that you'll see like an area that the enemies are going to attack. And that's something I don't necessarily remember at the very least in the original release of the game and Burning Crusade. Though it's been a while.
They came out of nowhere.
And that's all he has to say about the issue. Now, back in the day, I did used to play a Warlock. Yep, hold on.
They're retreating.
I get the feeling this fight isn't over yet.
Varian, I found him. Look, across the chasm. Tyrion!
All forces, to Jaina!
Now, for the purposes of the trial, you only really have access to the affliction tree, which is
I've got this.
which is fine with me because I never actually tried out any of the other trees, any other skill trees. For one, back then, you didn't have the ability to just switch skill trees at ease, and two, like, I wasn't necessarily interested in like the hunter aspect of playing a warlock. I wasn't really interested in having the gameplay focused around having a pet. So demonology wasn't really something I would want to go for. And then I forget what the other tree is off the top of my head, but I believe that essentially made that warlock more of a mage. And I was like, if I want to play a mage, I'd play a mage.
Gul'dan, you will pay for this.
Stay back. It's a trap. The light will protect me.
You fool! You stand before the temple of a god. Your pitiful light cannot reach you here. How fortunate that your friends have arrived just in time to watch you die.
Yes, everybody just stand here and do nothing. Especially against this big guy.
Destroy him.
The light will...
Thordring!
No!
All you have worked for, all you have sacrificed, just to see your champions fall to ash, one by one. Destroy them.
Only after you have known fear will you have my permission to die.
It's coming this way.
And now you've got the World of Warcraft engine trying to keep up with itself.
He's heading your way, Windrunner.
Let's go, Horde. It's time to show the Alliance how we slay demons.
Beasts from the Fellfire emerge.
Now, if everybody was able to just walk on that Fellfire anyway, like, that seems like even more of a reason that we could have easily just saved the day.
Got him this time. All forces, concentrate.
And once again, having all these other extra players is nice in that we just do a lot more damage output. We're able to proceed with these fights faster. Like
You've got another shot at the kills.
Croesus barely lasted.
Job done then, Rin.
Although I do like the antagonism in that voice acting. Like the passive-aggressive antagonism.
The bigger they are.
No time to
We've got to stop Gul'dan before he summons another one of those things.
Everyone, across the chasm!
We'll take the ridge and cover your flank.
Sylvanas, thank you.
Good luck, Varian.
And you.
Now, you could just run up to Gul'dan and just kind of stand up next to him, but that kind of ruins the suspension of disbelief that you're not in a cutscene.
There is nowhere to run, Gul'dan. Give up now, and I will grant you a swift death.
You are right, human. There is nowhere to run from my master. Now, witness the true might of Lord Sargeras.
Hold steady. We've broken their lines before. We will again. Charge!
Now, again, this isn't necessarily meant to be a difficult fight.
We will never fall to you, Gul'dan. The combined forces of Azeroth will triumph today.
But I feel
Less chatting, Rin! Kill him already!
it does a good idea.
I have seen the end of your pitiful world, Ren. You will perish in Hellfire, like 10,000 worlds before your own. The Legion is
It does a good job of making the situation appear extremely dire. While still kind of giving you control over the situation.
We will cut you down, monster. We return.
to conquer this puny world.
Everybody's nervous about how much time they have in between lines.
Do you see now, human? The fate of this world is sealed. The Legion cannot be stopped. And now you will fall.
Victory is ours! Hold fast! Mekator! We finish this now! Call in the gunship!
Way ahead of you, sir. Transangulating our positions right now.
Get! Get! My lord! Push forward! And get Windrunner's archers to clear the skies!
No, she wouldn't. I knew it! I knew we couldn't trust her!
Without the Horde, we'll be overrun! We must retreat! Get everyone to the gunship. Everyone! Fall back!
Take this to my son.
You will be remembered as the king who sacrificed his life for nothing. For the Alliance.
Okay, and that is essentially the point in which I'm like, okay, that was pretty awesome. Now, I'm definitely not expecting that level of awesome. Like, even at like an hour to hour versus... It's probably going to be a while before I see that kind of awesome again. But... like, that was really exciting. That was amazing. And that is essentially the main reason why I wanted to make this video, is to kind of highlight the story direction that World of Warcraft has eventually gone in over the years.
Will prevail.
Ah, Elif, you're up. I'm relieved you made it out of that bloodbath alive. We lost so many good women and men down there. Damn the Horde for serving us up to the Legion. I, of course, chose a staff. I haven't left the deck of this ship since we got back. The fleet must be made ready for the war. Don't know where we will be needed, but when the call comes, we'll be ready. Truth be told, I welcome the distraction. The others are paying the respects to Varian. But I cannot bring myself to raise the casket.